Hi, I'm Jeremy Callahan, and this is the App or Not to App. Mobile apps can help your business reduce costs, increase leads, and reduce manpower. An app is not a luxury item, it's a necessity. So let's get started making you money. All right, well, everybody, welcome to the podcast today. I'm with John Sonmez, the simple programmer, also now the Bulldog Mindset. He is truly self-motivated. He makes no excuses. He's authored books like Soft Skills, the Software Developer's Life Manual, and the Complete Software Developer's Career Guide. He's focused on helping developers and people just improve their life and get better and help people become more well-rounded. So welcome to the show today, John. Appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeremy. Thanks for the nice intro. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So anyways, give the listeners just kind of your story of origin, how you got started, and I guess how you kind of got to where you are now.
Yeah, so, I think it starts way back. I was really a really shy, kind of introverted person, very out of shape, I was very lazy, didn't have very much motivation and whatnot. So, pretty typical, pretty average. I became a software developer that video games and video game development always interested me. So I ended up going down that road. For most of my career, I was a software developer, and, I had a pretty good career. I did pretty good. I was usually, one of the top developers, one of the mentors. I studied and read and improved my career. But nothing, extraordinary really happened until what I started was my blog, Simple Programmer. And when I started writing in the blog, I didn't really gain much traction at first. I was just kind of writing articles to share my thoughts and whatnot. But eventually what ended up happening, I started to get some readership, and I started getting like job offers and calls from different recruiters basically saying, hey, we've seen your blog, and, kind of, sometimes even giving me offers, like job offers, without me having to interview. Right. So I started to realize there's something kind of going on here, with this. I never thought about, building a reputation in the software development industry. So I started working on marketing myself, and I started appearing on some podcasts and doing some kind of, promotion and really focusing on that. And all of a sudden, all these opportunities started coming my way. So one of them was a company called Pluralsight, and I ended up authoring about 55 courses for them over about 2.5 years, which put me as like the top author. I think I still might have more courses than anyone on the platform. And that was a huge success for me. And this whole time while I was doing that, I was continuing to build up Simple Programmer, the blog, and started to do some YouTube. And I realized that, I'd been giving a lot of technical talks and doing a lot of technical stuff, but I started giving a couple of talks at some code camps about marketing yourself as a software developer, because I realized that was something that most developers didn't know how to do. And it was really just boosting my career. Like I was getting job offers, I was making a lot more money, billing ridiculous hourly rates and having people come to me. And so I did a talk on that topic, and it really resonated with people. I think like I stayed, maybe the first time I gave the talk, like 4 hours afterwards talking to people. And so that ended up shifting my focus, right? So I started to move Simple Programmer even more so into soft skills type of, I built a course called How to Market Yourself as a Software Developer. Started to learn some real entrepreneurship skills as I learned marketing and email marketing, and sold that course. And, I think I made like something like $30,000 or $40,000 on the launch of that course to a pretty small email list. And so Simple Programmer actually became a business. And eventually I ended up quitting my regular job because I was making money from Pluralsight, from the royalties from there. And my real estate was doing well. So I effectively, kind of retired at 32. And then I wrote Soft Skills and was running Simple Programmer. And, somewhere along the lines, I really got involved in personal development, started reading just a ton of books on the subject, went to a Tony Robbins seminar, Date with Destiny. That was kind of a life-changing experience as well. And, and I had already retired at this point. So I was trying to find like a real purpose in life. And I found it through, helping other people improve themselves and changing myself. Right. And during this process, I went from, like I said, at the beginning, being this very shy, introverted, lazy person to someone who, is out there putting themselves out there, is running marathons, lifting weights, staying in shape, doing all that stuff, and becoming, super motivated, not lazy anymore. And so what I ended up doing was really, doing a lot of YouTube videos. I did start doing 2 YouTube videos a day, and shifting my passion and shifting everything really towards this focus on helping people to go from, what I call now the victim mindset to the bulldog mindset. So
Right.
that's kind of my long ass story of how I got to where I am. And there's, a bunch of little side trails along the way, but that's what I do now is I run Civil Programmer. I, have my real estate investment, and then I'm building up bulldog mindset now to appeal to more of the general audience, to teach them, how to become mentally tough, how to, develop motivation, self-motivation, how to, become, stoic in their attitudes and emotions, so that they can become stronger, they can become better versions of themselves, maximize their potential in life.
That's great, man. And what I find fascinating about your story is, you see a lot of these people and they're like, oh, I was always motivated. I was always, a go-getter and everything like that. But your story is fascinating because you weren't. So how did it change? Like what changed in your mind? Was it slow? Was it instant? Like, how did you go from what you said, a lazy programmer, to this?
I think there was a few different distinctive points, like, in things, one of the ones I can remember pretty far back that sort of put me on this track was, I remember waking up one morning and thinking to myself, just these words, why not me? Right. And, and the answer was no reason why. Like, biologically, I'm a human being. I've got a brain just like everyone else. I've got a body. I can become whatever I want to be. And so I sort of developed this idea in my head. I had this vision of who I wanted to be, right? And when I say who I wanted to be, I don't mean like someone else. I mean like the version of me that I like, the optimal version of me that I would want to be. How would I walk? How would I talk? How would I dress? What would I do? What would I say? Right? And I started pretending to be that person. And I started, put those shoes on, right? Yeah. And at first it was somewhat of acting, right? But eventually I became that person. Like if you take on that role, you become that role. And so it just really started with that simple realization that I could fake it till I make it. I could pretend, I could assume that I already was what I wanted to be, and just play that role in life. And then you eventually become that, and I tell people all the time, it's kind of like, because your self-image of yourself changes, and people say, oh, well, I'm not a runner. Okay, well, I'm not a runner either. I'm not a distance runner, but I'm running, apparently I am now, but start running. If you start running 5 miles a day and you do that for, 6 months, guess what you'll be? You'll be a runner. Like if you just take the action, if you're like, oh, I'm afraid to talk to people, I'm an introvert. Okay, well then fine. Go out and start talking to people every day, and guess what you'll become? You'll become a person that is not afraid of talking to people, that doesn't have social. And so it really is that concept of acting as if you act as if you're already what you want to be, you'll eventually become it, because those actions will, your subconscious, your self reflection of yourself will have to conform to what you're actually doing. Right. And so I think that was key for me. And then a lot of it ended up being, I started talking to a lot of successful people when I started out as an entrepreneur. And I kept on talking to these, millionaires and multimillionaires. And I would ask them, because I was getting really into reading books, what's the number one book that you'd recommend? And people kept on saying Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Right.
And I had read that book. I'm an engineer by trade, like analytical mind. I tossed that thing into the heap. I was like, what is this crap? Like, he healed his son's hearing by wishing that it would happen. Like, right. I'm like, this is like bull crap. What is this crap? Right. But people kept on saying it. Right. So I'm like, all right, fine. You know what? These people are super successful. And, you know, I just have this philosophy in life. It's like, you know, if someone's super successful, there has to be a reason, right? It's usually not luck. Like there's usually, and if multiple people that are super successful, like I can take the viewpoint in life that, oh, they're idiots. These people are dumb. But, you know, when you see people that are on TV, you see people that are making money, you see people like, it's easy for us to be sitting in our armchair, you know, in the armchair quarterbacking and saying, oh, what an idiot. I would do things different. But usually they're pretty damn smart. Like usually there's some reason why they've been successful.
Right.
And so I said, okay, you know, and here's the thing about being ignorant. You can never know you're ignorant because by definition, ignorance means, right? So if there's someone smarter than me, that knows more than me, that's wiser than me, I'm always going to think that they're dumb and I'm smart, and that's what ignorance is. That's the definition. So you can never be aware of your own ignorance. So I just go with the assumption if someone's making more money than me, if they're more successful than me, then regardless of what I think, I'm likely I could be in the ignorant situation. So I should explore what they're saying, right? So that finally convinced me. I said, okay, I'm going to read this Think and Grow Rich book and give it a real shot. And, you know, it really changed my life. Like it really, like it changed my perspectives. I started following and, you know, practicing some of this stuff that I would have called woo-woo crap. And I was happier. I was more fulfilled. And I was just hitting home runs left and right. And so I started reading a lot of books, you know, Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell
That's
Maltz.
a great book. That's a great book.
Excellent book. Excellent book. You know, another big one that changed my life was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep.
You know, I started becoming an avid reader of all these As a Man Thinketh, you know, by Seth Abel and or James Allen.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of these like really kind of classical book that a lot of salespeople actually, you know, read, but they're good. They're really good books. And it started changing my perspective. I started reading Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, and that convinced me to go to the Date with Destiny seminar, which I thought was ridiculous, crazy when I first showed up there. Again, you know, but again, giving it the benefit of the doubt, and you know, it's those things that really kind of changed my life. You know, even books, you know, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, you know, these kind of things. And it really just like had a huge effect on me. And I started, you know, reforming myself from the inside out. I started going after and conquering my fears. You know, at one point I was deathly afraid to like fly in airplanes or go on roller coasters. And I started to realize that, you know, you have to have courage, that fear doesn't go away. Instead, you have to choose to adopt courage. And so I started living my life that way. I started to basically develop this philosophy in life that said that, look, you know what, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to take the risks involved with doing that. And if I die, I die. Like, I'm not going to try and, you know, do everything I can to preserve and make myself safe. I'm going to take some risks and put myself out there to live life more full, because that's a better way to live your life in general. And so that, you know, all of that kind of culminated to bringing me to that shift, and completely changed me. Right. I mean, I'm a totally different person than I was, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah. And it must be a trip to see yourself on video, like so far back on YouTube. And then, you know, from where you are, like, it's a trip for me to see it with you. I'm like, holy cow, this is a completely different dude. And, you know, as a software engineer of all the years when I was working in corporate and stuff, and I would work with all these guys, you know, these other developers. And I always said I wasn't the greatest developer in the world, but I had a skill of actually closing and finishing like everything I did. Like anything I started, I actually finished, and I always delivered on time. And the other developers were kind of, sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. They never really seemed to be going for anything extra in their life. And sometimes they would look at me and go, well, how can I do this? You know, what can I do? How can I do more? And it's interesting. I think it was you, I heard it from, like, an hour at a time. Was that your saying? Like, did you say you wrote the book, or you did something an hour at a time, or every day you took like 2 hours out of your day to do something extra?
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this though. What do you think is the difference? Like, between just a regular developer and a really great developer?
That's a good question. What do I think the difference is? I think, I think the difference is probably, it doesn't come down to, I mean, it comes down to how much you practice, how much effort that you put in, like how far are you willing to go, and really as far as coding skills, but in general, like, as far as success in your career, I think it's what else right? It's always like, and that's kind of the things that I always, or one of the reasons why I made Simple Programmer to what it is because I strongly feel that it's the soft skills that are way more important, right? It's like
Right.
anybody can code. In fact, the thing is today, with the kind of global economy that we have, I can hire a coder out of India or China or Russia that can code circles around the average developer, like in the US here. That,
Yeah.
whereas they're going to charge $10 or $15 an hour, and they're going to be a better coder than someone who charges $100 an hour. Now, the difference is a lot of times the communication. A lot of times those guys won't think for themselves. They won't solve problems themselves. They'll just do what they're supposed to do, and you have to give them very clear, explicit instructions. But the reason why I use that example is not to knock either party. It's just to say that the thing that makes you valuable as a developer today is the soft skills, is the communication skills, is the ability to think for yourself, is the ability to present your ideas to other people. It's all of these type of things that to build a market and sell yourself and sell your ideas, right? It's all these other type of things that are way more critical than the ability just to write code, because there's a lot of people that can, writing code used to be this really high level skill, but
Right.
it's really more of a commodity now, and the real skill is being that well-rounded person, and also the person who develops themselves in the other areas, who develops their motivation, their mental toughness, right, and is working on those things, their self-discipline. They're going to be better at whatever they do. So they're going to be intrinsically a better coder, because when things get hard, they're going to push through. When things get hard, they're going to look and they're going to find solutions to problems. They're going to think outside the box, to use a cliche. They're going to be able to get other people to help them communicate their ideas, share that, and have, a lot more success, because they're going to become unstoppable. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And resourcefulness, it's one of the best skills there is out there, just being resourceful, coming up with new, creativity, whatever they are. What did you always have a strong opinion? Like, when you first started out, did you always have a strong opinion on your videos and your blogs and things like that? Or did that kind of develop over time?
So it's kind of weird. I've definitely had somewhat of a strong opinion. Like, I've had for a long time the philosophy of strong opinions loosely held, right? Is something, that a phrase that I use all the time, that which basically means that, like, until you convince me otherwise, I'm going to preach what I think is true, like it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
But if you convince me otherwise, I'll, in the middle of an argument, I'll say, you're actually right, right? Because I'm willing to do that, because
Right.
I'm going to have that, because if you can't speak with conviction, I don't care how great your ideas are, no one's going to follow you, right? In fact, you can have horrible ideas and speak with conviction, and you're going to get a lot more of a following, and people will follow you to the ends of the earth. I mean, there's a lot of historically bad leaders, consider Hitler, and not to bring things back to
Right.
the Nazi,
They did have followers, right?
but Hitler, Stalin, like all these guys, Pol Pot, like it wasn't that they just ruled by fear. They had people that were their diehard follower fans, and their ideas were pretty shitty ideas, right? If you think about it, but they spoke with conviction. And I always talk about, like, the difference between leadership and manipulation is who it benefits, but it's the same skill,
Yeah.
same exact skill, right? So to not to go too far into the rabbit trails there, but essentially, I think, you know, you want to have really, really strong convictions when you speak, right? If you believe this thing, even but be willing to be convinced otherwise. So, but when I did start out writing blog posts and doing YouTube videos, I didn't always present. I was a little bit cautious, right? So I
Yeah.
might have a strong opinion about how some code should be written and whatnot, but I didn't really present it. Like I was afraid of offending people or you know, crossing the line in some area politically and whatnot. And what I started to realize was that what happens when you do that is you get a bunch of lukewarm followers that are not really hot or cold about you. It's better to polarize your audience, right? So it's better to be what you want to be and to alienate a lot of people and have people hate you. But at the same time, you're going to have people that just love you and love what you're saying, and they're on your ship. And if you look at it, you know, again, I don't want to like delve into politics. It doesn't matter. You know, I use Trump as a great example because love him or hate him, I don't really care what you know, what people think. But he proved that polarizing your audience is a great idea, right? Like as far as gaining popularity. Again, I'm not going to, you know, make a political statement. You can love him or hate him, but you can't argue against his results, right? I mean,
Right.
he definitely proved that, like, saying controversial shit and polarizing the audience where people love you and people hate you is a very, very effective strategy, because there's a lot of people that played the neutral card. And where did it get them? People didn't hate them, but it didn't get them anywhere. And so it's just a good strategy in life. And you know, you think about it. I was talking to someone, you know, there's a really good book actually that really capitalizes on this idea called Anti-Fragile, by what's his name, Nicholas Taleb. I can never get his three names in the right order, but anyway, Anti-Fragile. He also wrote Black Swan, which was also a really good book. But this anti-fragile concept is essentially this idea that, like, you know, you want to be calm, or you want to look for things that are anti-fragile, which means that chaos and disorder and like time and all the things that would destroy something that's fragile actually make you stronger, right? So, you know, our calluses on our hands, right? That's
Right.
example of that, or just living organisms in general, right? Usually they become stronger as an adaptation to harm, as long as the harm is not too great, right? And so that's the kind of person that you want to become, and being polarizing and strongly expressing your opinions makes it so, right? And so, you know, I was talking to someone and we we're discussing this idea of, like, you know, what you can get away with, and we've all got that friend, you know, that one friend, Jack, and he says just some fucked up shit, like you're like, oh man, what a misogynist thing to say, but it's just Jack can say that. It's Jack, you know. And you want to be that guy. You want to be the Jack guy. You don't want to be the pious priest guy that you know, that you have some skeletons in your closet, and then it's you haven't even done any major offense. You did some little thing, and all of a sudden, oh man, you're slapped with all kinds of Me Too's and all this stuff, and like you're now this horrible person because you represented something that you weren't, right? It's better to be bold, to be out there. You can get away with a lot more stuff. People will accept you. Some people will hate you, yes, but more people will love you, and you'll grow a better and bigger audience in the long run by doing that. And people will trust you, because the thing about Jack, the reason why, you know, Bob says something and everyone's like, I can't believe you said that, Bob. That is so offensive. I am so offended right now. And Jack says the same exact thing, and they're like, that's Jack. That's funny. He's making a racial joke. You know, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or whatever he does. The reason why he gets away with that is because he's being authentic all the time. He's genuine. Like, you know that he doesn't mean harm. You know that he's just expressing himself, and he's just being who he is, and he's not trying to hide it. And he's not the best guy in the world, and he's got faults. But we all have faults, and we can relate to Jack, and we can empathize with Jack, and we're okay with Jack. But we're not okay with Bob, because Bob is hiding it. And so Yeah. So that's my long answer to your question.
No, I love that because it's, you know, it's actually one of the things I see in you. I see you as a strong personality, but I don't see you as like a dick or anything like that. I just see you as a guy that has an opinion. It's a good opinion. And if, like you said, you're, if I can change your thought process a little or bring up a point, you're like, oh, I never thought of that. I could actually, you're flexible enough to change your opinion, but you have an opinion, right?
Right.
So it's always great. I'll just get one last question in and then we'll wrap it up. Do you ever run out of topics? How do you come up with ideas? You know, like sometimes I'm like, I want to make a video, but I don't really have anything to talk about. Like, do you ever find yourself in this, or are you just like at a point now where you're just rolling all the time?
There's always something. There's always something to talk about. I mean, there's different things you can do to come up with ideas. I typically have like a Trello board that has like tons of ideas on it.
Yeah.
People ask me questions. I can always answer a question. I read typically like 2 to 3 books a week because I'm listening to audiobooks at like 3x speed and I'm running like 50 miles a week. So I get plenty of time to listen to audiobooks, and there's so many ideas percolating. I think the biggest thing is having a good inflow. If you have a good inflow, you'll have a good outflow. So if you're consuming, you know, information, having dialogues with people, right, and even just spending time in thought, right. A lot of my philosophies in life and the things that I've kind of discovered have come from me just sitting down and really like, you know, doing the whole philosopher thing and thinking deeply about things, right? And so there's virtually no topic that someone could come up with that I don't have like a real well rehearsed answer to,
Right.
to the question, because I've thought so much about it, right? I've talked about this thing. So yeah, for me, a lot of it is just, you know, and sometimes I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to record some videos and I'll just think of some kind of topic. And to some degree, you know, it comes down to because I must, right? Because when I am on the schedule of recording 2 videos a day, I need to record 2 videos. So I have to come up with something. And so that necessity.
Is that what you're committed to? 2 videos a day? Is that basically what you do?
Yeah. I'm sort of, I've been altering things a little bit, but I did 2 videos a day for like the last 3 years. And I started doing 1 video a day, but I'm going back to 2 now. I was kind of experimenting with that to see if that would actually work better. But I may start buffering things. I am thinking about doing like all the videos on 1 day now. We'll see. I kind of like doing the 2 videos a day when I was doing it every single day, just because, you know, I'd have different ideas. I'm walking down the street and whatnot, but I'm working on some with running multiple brands now. I feel like I might need to start to do more batching there, but we'll see.
But I mean, you just like build a discipline for it, right? So it's kind of like going to the gym or whatever. It's just
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, hey, John, I really appreciate you being on the podcast today. How can people get in touch with you, see you, get more of you, find out more?
Yeah. The best thing right now is go to my YouTube channel, Bulldog Mindset, or you can go to bulldogmindset.com because that's the brand that I'm building up. Obviously, you know, if you're a programmer, go check out Simple Programmer. I'm still around there. You'll find me there. Most of my new content is with the Bulldog Mindset brand. So yeah, either place there is good.
Cool. Well, I highly recommend it. I mean, check it out. There's, like I said, there's a lot of different stuff out there that you're giving to people. And I really enjoy what you do around just the opinions and the personal motivation, the way the thing I love about you is you're living it. You know, you're not just the guy saying, hey, go out and you got to try harder. You got to do this. You're actually doing stuff. You're challenging yourself every day. And I appreciate that. So thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Thanks
Cool.
for having me.
All right.